Are you a bookkeeper who constantly wonders if you're making the right choices for your career and future? What if I told you the biggest regrets of experienced bookkeepers that could actually be your roadmap to success and even a joyful retirement? Well, welcome to the Better Bookkeeper Show. I'm your host, Lynn Talbott, and today we're talking about my 4 biggest regrets in building, scaling, and then eventually selling my bookkeeping business. So I was thinking the other day about why did it take me so long to start my business? Like, why did I wait till I was 50 years old? And I think about, well, if I could hop in a time machine and go back to my 35-year-old self and hand myself a cup of coffee and say, girl, what are you waiting for? And then I would just listen to all the excuses that I had. Oh, I'm not ready. I need to be older. My kids need to be older. I need to be smarter. I need another degree. I need to get this certification. I don't know how to run a business. But I just would spew out all of these excuses, and at the time seemed completely valid. Yes, I had small children at home and I didn't know how to run a business. I didn't know I could run a business, right? But what happens is that day never comes when you're ready. I don't even know how I got ready at 50, but I wished I had started my business at 35. So as bookkeepers, we are great at planning for everyone else. But we're not always good at planning our own business, right? We help others with their business. We help them see insights to how their business is growing. But for whatever reason, as a bookkeeper, we're not always focusing on ourselves, turning that spotlight on ourselves and saying, how can I run my business better, more efficient, and make it more profitable? So basically, we just tend to wing it, right? We just go out there and get a client and we start winging it. We just ride along each day in our business and just taking random clients here and there. Now that's true. You know that's true. If you've started your bookkeeping business, you just start taking random clients. I did it too, because you have to start somewhere, right? Well, we need to learn how to plan better. So today we're going to talk a little bit about my regrets and how you can turn that into a planning model for yourself. So today I'm going to pull the curtain back on my 4 biggest regrets, and they're not horror stories. They're just, think of them just as a guidepost. I can think about, why didn't I do that sooner? Why didn't I start my business sooner? What if? So if you're early in your journey, you can skip some of these potholes that I'm going to tell you about. But if you're a seasoned bookkeeper, you're going to recognize some of these and you'll say, yep, I've been there. Why did I do that as well? So hopefully you'll see yourself in some of these or you'll avoid some of these. All right, let's move on to regret number 1. And it's what I've emphasized before, waiting too long to start my business. So like I said, I waited till age 50 to start my bookkeeping and human resources business because I didn't think running a business was something that I could do. I didn't actually even know that was an option. I didn't know it was an option out there. I had just worked for corporate America and, I thought I could work for myself a little bit. I did a little bit of consulting after I left the corporate world, but I just never thought of it as running a business. I just thought of it as consulting. I thought running a bookkeeping firm was for somebody else, right? Somebody smarter, somebody that had it all together and had a mentor, or maybe they had run businesses before, or their family they came from a family of entrepreneurs. So they just sort of stepped right up and knew what to do. I thought also that it was for someone that was maybe older, more intelligent, more educated, and even just someone that's real connected to the business world. And at the time, when I was looking at doing bookkeeping, I was consulting and just doing some bookkeeping part-time. I was none of those things. I wasn't connected to the business world or in any way at all. And so I was just sort of waiting for someone else's permission to start. I don't know why, but that's just the way it was. And I could say, even looking back now, that it could have been a little bit of imposter syndrome that may have kept me small, may have kept me from getting started when I should have. And I would think to myself, well, who am I to run a firm? I just want a few little clients, just work here and there, be home when the bus gets home. I'm happy. I don't want to run a firm. Like, that's not for me. But really, who was I not to run a firm? Why couldn't I have that as a dream? So you don't need another 10 certifications or looking at another tax season or getting some, take some class about taxes. You just need to be willing to learn, right? Willing to learn. And so if you're being a little bit hesitant, just listen to all those excuses because you've got lots of them. I had lots of them, and see if they're really valid. Some of them may be valid, but some of them may not be valid. And you need to really look at them. So if you're wanting to start a business, or you're thinking about starting a business, or you've got a couple clients and you're like, yeah, maybe I could run a firm, not just have a couple clients. What are the excuses that you're telling yourself? The same excuses that I told myself? So that's something to think about. That's your homework for today. Think about the excuses you have, and are they valid? It could be that you just lack confidence to just get started, right? Confidence doesn't come before action. Your confidence will grow with action. I got much more confident once I started my business. I was like, oh, I'm confident now. I couldn't understand why I didn't start my business earlier, because the confidence came with starting that business. If you're still thinking about it, you're in that thinking about it stage, start something. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be all ready. Just start. Start with one client. You'll learn faster. You'll grow faster. And that opens up years of compounding success for you. Because I look back and I thought, oh, had I started this at 35, think of where I would be now that I'm in my 60s. How many more years I would have had to grow and be successful and to grow a bigger business, or sell it earlier and get out and retire. So my biggest regret was not starting early enough. Starting late meant that I had less time to build momentum, right? Less time to enjoy the fruits of the labor, and less time to get it ready to sell. So that brings me to my second regret, not thinking about my exit strategy early enough. You're like, why would I want to exit? I'm just starting, especially if you're young, you're maybe 35. You're like, why would I think about selling? But really, you have to think about getting your business ready so that it will run itself. I hit burnout because all the systems lived in my head. I just, kind of winged it and did everything. And I ended up with burnout because I worked and worked and worked. I loved what I was doing. I was working, but I didn't have a plan to exit or sell. And so I didn't have a goal to get to. I was just working on the treadmill, on the little, hamster wheel, as they say. I was just working. So I want you to think about what that exit plan would be. Is it 10 years, 20 years? Is it to leave a legacy for your children? Do you have someone else, a business partner you're thinking about bringing in? But when I did finally sell my business, while it was successful, I just didn't feel like it was maximized. I felt like I could have done better had I been better prepared. So that regret number 2, remember we're talking about prepare your business for an exit. So every business should be built to sell, even if you never plan to sell it. Because even if you never plan to sell, build your business like you could sell it. Like if somebody came along and wanted to buy it, it would be ready. Because things change, life happens, and you just want to have options. So when you're building your business, you're setting up processes that will make it successful for you if one day you want to sell it and someone comes along and wants to buy it. Things are already ready. It takes a while to get a business ready to be sold. It can take 2 years, maybe 3. So you can't just do it in an afternoon. It doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen like that. It would be nice, but it doesn't. So think about creating the systems that you need and the delegation that you need, the leadership that you need to create that option to sell. So a business that is ready to sell or built like it's going to be sold is a business that you'll actually enjoy running. all your processes and your AI and the delegation. It makes your business more valuable and it makes it less stressful for you to run in the meantime. So learning to delegate earlier and being confident in delegating, that would have helped me move along a little bit faster. I don't know about how your tendency is for delegation, but it is something that just doesn't come natural to a lot of entrepreneurs because you're like, well, I want to do everything. I can do everything. I'm an entrepreneur. And you sort of want to hold on to everything. And you feel like, well, I'm the only one that can do this, right. Or I'm the only one that has the stamina it takes to run this business. But start thinking about your exit from day one. You're building your business and think about what your exit strategy is going to be. Because I'll tell you what, if somebody had told me at age 35, hey, Lynn, if you build a business now, you can sell it for $1 million in 10 years. I would have been like, oh, where do I start? Where can I sign the papers? I didn't know that. I just thought you worked and worked and worked and you took home a salary and then the business just kind of faded away. It didn't occur to me that I could build something to sell. So think of it that way. If you're 35, 40, 45, 50, wherever you are in your life, think about, it doesn't have to be 10 years. It was just 10 years for me. It could be less, it could be more. But in 10 years, you could sell it for $1 million. That should be the motivator to start your business early. Get on board to think about an exit strategy and what that's going to look at. Because if not, you may end up like I did in just burnout about year 7. Just like, what am I doing? I'm burning out. I'm hiring people, but my employees are coming and going. I can't keep up with everything. I'm working 80 hours a week. Yeah, I love it, but I can't keep this pace, forever. So if you build with that transferability in mind, clean books, processes, keeping your clients happy, keeping the client communication going, and good pricing, you will have less burnout, and then you'll have a goal to work toward, right? So a business that's ready to sell, and I said this before, a business that's ready to sell is also a business that's a joy to run. So once I realized the value of building for that future, in other words, wait, what? I can sell this business for what? It just became the obvious thing to do. Oh, I need to build my business to sell. Now, you could pass it on to a legacy, or you could have a partner and not have to exit. You don't necessarily have to sell your business, but think about your exit strategy, what that might be. So that's number 2. So this brings me to number 3. We talked about how you need to delegate. So number 3, regret number 3, not hiring sooner. So like I said, in year 7, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I loved it. I was happy. My kids were in college, because I thought that's when I can run a business, when my kids are in college, right? I was wanting to be home with them more when they were little. So I thought I can finally run this business. So I just went all in and just worked as many hours as I wanted to. But I carried the whole firm on my back probably a lot longer than I needed to. I thought that was what I was supposed to do. I loved what I was doing. I was helping others, getting involved in the community. I was a big networker, loved that part of my business, and I missed that dearly. But I didn't have a mentor in those early years to help me from startup to through that growth mode. I didn't know I needed a mentor. Again, the mentality of an entrepreneur is like, I can do everything. I know what I'm doing, and I'm a strong person. I've got tenacity. I'm just going to buck it up and work harder, right? Well, a mentor can really help you, walk you through the challenges when you start hiring staff. Because when you hire staff, you've got to be a leader. You've got to lead your staff. You can't just hire staff, tell them what to do, and walk away, and then come back and kind of micromanage them or tell them what they're doing wrong. You need to lead them. You need to be a leader. You need to be encouraging. You want them to stay with you. And would you want to stay with somebody who wasn't encouraging you and leading you and allowing you to grow? So those are the things that I learned when I knew that I had to start hiring people. I guess I was hesitant to hire because of fear. I would be like, well, what if clients start to leave? Again, that confidence and that self-doubt would start to creep in. What if clients would leave? I've hired this employee and I'm paid. She wants to work 30 hours a week, let's just say, or 20. I had a lot of part-time employees because that was what they wanted for their work lifestyle. They had children at home. And so they're like, yeah, I want to work only till 2 o'clock and then be home when that bus gets there. I'm like, fantastic. But they wanted to work 20 or 30 hours a week. Well, what if a couple of clients left and I didn't have to work for them anymore? Like I thought they're depending on me for their income. I've hired them and told them I'm going to work them. And then what if my clients leave? I always had that in the back of my head. What if my clients leave? What if everybody leaves? And the truth is, my clients never left. They just kept coming and coming and coming. They never left. And so I understand that like having employees, that can be a real stressor on an entrepreneur. And I took that very seriously. I was like, I want to always make sure I have enough work for my employees. And, during COVID, we all kind of freaked out. Like, are we going to have work? Are my clients, now my clients are probably going to leave because some were in the restaurant business and the theater business and they didn't have, their business is shut down. And so I was really afraid at that point, but we made a plan. I guaranteed their salary and you just need to look through and make a plan. But I understand that the employees are depending on you and that can cause a stressor in the back of your head and maybe lead you to think, maybe I shouldn't hire yet. Maybe I should wait until I'm on complete overload before I hire somebody. And that's my biggest regret, was waiting until I was a complete overload and then offloading 20 hours. I would wait till I was working 60 and offloading 20. And then I would work another 60 and then offload 20. No, you want to do it exactly the opposite. You want to offload that 20 so that when you're working 40 hours, that's what you want to do. And then believe it or not, those extra 20 hours that week, they will fill in by themselves miraculously. It also frees you up to go look for more business and to work on your business. So I understand hesitation for hiring, but don't wait until you're burned out or until you're at 60 hours because it's awfully difficult to train new hires and to lead them and to look like you're a confident business owner if you are running 100 miles an hour and the phone is ringing and you're the bottleneck, you're the answer all the questions, answer all the, work with all the clients, answer all the questions. If you are the one doing all of that, that employee sees that and they're just like, oh, what a mess, So my advice is you want to, when you get up to 35, 40 hours, you want to start offloading about 20 hours. And then when you get up to it, those hours will fill in, but it also gives you opportunity if you want to work 50 or you need to, maybe it's tax season, you have that luxury, But I did think that hiring was like a luxury, like, oh, I can hire somebody to do my work. I thought it was a luxury. It's not. It's a necessity to grow. You have to hire someone if you want to grow. You can't run a business. You can run a business on your own as an entrepreneur. You just can't grow and scale and then, sell it eventually. If you're just working all by yourself, you're just not going to have the capacity to do as much as you need in order to have your business look attractive for someone to purchase it. So waiting too long to hire will really cost you more money than your salary. It costs your sanity, it costs your creativity, and it keeps you in the trenches and doesn't allow you to grow and mature as a leader that you really need to be. You're going to be missing family dinners. You're going to be missing a lot of time at home because you are putting out fires because you've created the monster, right? You created this business. And that's how I felt. I have to stop everything I'm doing and take the whole weekend off and fix these problems because I created this monster. I created this business and I didn't hire anybody to help me out, or I hired people, but I didn't train them properly, or I didn't trust them. I hate to say that, but if you find yourself hiring people, and I'll hear this often from some of the clients that I'm mentoring, well, Lynn, you hire somebody, but like the client wants you, how do you how do you trust them to go take your client and do all the things right and correct and just trust them? And I said, yeah, that is hard. But you have to work out those systems between yourselves on how you're going to follow up with the client and what metrics you're using to measure their performance and make sure they really understand. Good job descriptions, things like that will help. But really, it's just a matter of training them and having a good relationship. So I will tell you this. If a client constantly comes to me, one of my bookkeeping mentees will come to me and say, hey, I just can't trust them to do everything. So I'm just going to have them doing the stuff in the background and I'm doing everything else. They're just going to reconcile and maybe, do some cleanup or do some reports, but I'm going to do everything else and I'm going to, micromanage them. You need some leadership training if that's the way you feel you need to do, or you've hired the wrong people. If you can't trust your employees, you've hired the wrong employees, or you need leadership training, right? So hire before you're drowning, right? Not after you're drowning like I did. Go find a leadership course or find a mentor in your community. You can look at the Small Business Association. You can there are lots of consultants that help small businesses grow, and you want one that can help you through that growth period and give you some leadership skills on how to delegate better. Delegation just doesn't come natural. So having a mentor walk you through that, here's how you say things, and then making sure you're hiring the right people and training them, that can really help. If you wait until you're burned out and you're drowning and you hire somebody and you hire the wrong person, you're just going to drown more and your business is going to suffer. Your clients are going to see it and they're going to start to leave. So hire before you're drowning. That is the most important. Take leadership courses or find a leadership mentor or consultant in your area. Just think of it as like creating capacity for yourself, creating capacity for your brain, first of all, so that you don't have to get in the detail of everybody's books. And that was one of the things when I came to that realization, I was like, oh, I don't have to know every single payroll for every employee anymore. And I couldn't once I had 400 clients. I couldn't know everybody's payroll and everybody's little intricate problems that they were having or some spreadsheet that I was waiting for. No, I realized I couldn't get into the weeds. And that created space in my brain and capacity for me to grow the business and look at the business and develop myself better as a leader. And then just being able to lead your employees, right? That's what we all should do when we have a growing business. We should be able to lead our employees. It doesn't always come natural, and I get that. And for me, part of it came natural, but then part of it was I was just kind of stubborn and didn't want to hire people. One, I was like, well, I'll make more money if I do it myself, or I just can't find the right people, or I'm nervous about hiring. And there's good, there's a good evidence for not hiring the wrong person, right? You want to hire the right person. So hiring the right team like multiplies your results. So think of it this way. Every employee that you hire should be giving you an ROI. So if you hire somebody and you're paying them, this is just an example, you're paying them $30, $35 an hour, you're charging your client $70 to $75 an hour, there's your margin. You're making money on that person. You hire 5 people and you've got that margin of $50 an hour and they're working 30, 40, 50 hours a week. You can do the math. It adds up very quickly. But if you're hiring people and they're costing you more money or costing you more time, or you're doing all the work behind them, they're doing 10 hours of work and you're doing 8 hours fixing it or cleaning up or helping them, that's not a good situation. So once you figure out how to run those metrics on employees, like who's sort of profitable, but every employee should be profitable if you're hiring them at one level and you're paying them at another level, and they're doing all the things that they need to do in between. You should be making money, right, every month. So it's just trusting your employees and learning how to delegate without freaking out. Are things going to happen? Yes. Are employees going to make mistakes? Yes. I make mistakes all the time. And I would tell my employees, oh, don't worry. I used to do that all the time. I know exactly what you did. Let me show you how to fix it, And then they would feel better, and it instantly gave them confidence, gave me confidence that they heard what they did and they learned from it. So, learning from your mistakes and just, making sure that your employees know what they're doing and that they feel confident. Employees want just what we want. We want to be happy in our work. We want to enjoy. We want to get positive feedback. We want to learn and grow. And we just want to work with a group of people that accepts and likes us. So those are the things you need to do if you want to hire employees. So when you hire the right people, you stop being in the business and you start leading the business forward. You really start bringing the business forward, and you stop just being the bottleneck and just being in the weeds. So that's regret number 3, not hiring soon enough. I waited till I was drowning before I hired somebody. Yeah, I just can't believe I did that looking back at that now. All right, so regret number 4 is not raising my prices sooner. I don't know why I had a mental block about this, because like so many bookkeepers, I would compare myself to CPAs and I would underprice myself because I didn't feel like I had their credentials. I didn't feel like I could just demand a rate, coming out of the box, just coming right out, starting your business. And of course not. You do have to start somewhere, and you can start low. I'm not even going to tell you when I first started charging my clients, because it is hilarious. And I look back and I go, why did you do that? And it's because I thought nobody's going to come, or if I raise my rates, they're going to leave, or I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm afraid to charge more, or I'm afraid they're going to find out that I don't know what I'm doing. When I did know what I was doing, I just didn't have the confidence to do that. So my clients kept telling me, Lynn, you're not charging enough. You're not charging enough. And they would say, raise my rates. And I don't know why, but I had just deaf ears. Like I just couldn't hear them. I'm like, no, I'm good. Like I'm making money. We're good. So eventually, I don't know how, but eventually I probably was in business 3 years before I went through and decided to raise my rates. I raised my rates on my new clients. That's easy. But raising my rates on the past clients, that was a little different. And I finally went through and did that. And my clients were like, this is still not enough. Like I thought I'll raise my rates and some of my clients are going to complain and leave. Nothing. Nobody left. No one complained. And matter of fact, it was the opposite. They're like, we're fine. We're happy, because I was charging so low. But pricing is about value and impact. It's not about my degree or my certification or my years in business. It's about what the client is willing to pay to solve their problems and to solve their pain points, right? Every client has a pain point. When you're interviewing new clients, you'll hear them say, you have to listen in that interview. You listen for those pain points, and they'll say things like, my bookkeeper just didn't get back to me, and it would just make me anxious. Like I couldn't sleep at night because I would call and email, and I just didn't think the books were right, but I couldn't ever figure it out, or they wouldn't return my call, or I didn't like how they waited till the end of the quarter to do the quarter. And those are things that you can come back and say, yes, I'm going to respond. I'm going to respond to you. And you can even tell your clients, how would it feel if we had an ongoing dialogue? How would it feel if you sent me an email about some concern you had and I responded, within a day? How would it feel if I met with you every month for the first 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months? I met with you for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, for the first 6 months. So you and I can make sure we have established all the things that you need and that I'm meeting your needs. How would that make you feel? They'd be like, yeah. And then you think they're willing to pay for that. They're willing to pay a premium for that as well. The going rate, now this is in October of 2025, the going rate for bookkeepers nationwide is about $75 an hour. It varies from state to state and from location to location, but that's the average. And so anywhere from $50 to $100 an hour, you should be in the safe range. Absolutely. You shouldn't be charging less than 50. You might say, Lynn, I only charge 25 because I don't have a college degree. Again, you don't need a degree. You need the knowledge that you have. You need the bookkeeping knowledge and the confidence that you have. And you need to be able to be sure that you are giving value, right? To be able to price. So pricing isn't always about credentials, right? It's about the value you deliver. So when you ask the client, you ask them what they want, you ask them, well, how would it make you feel if you got that on time? And then you deliver it. You deliver it on time or before. So that's the other thing, is that you can be the bookkeeper that has good communication and that gives them the deliverables on time. And that will give the client a peace of mind. And maybe they didn't get that before. And once they get a peace of mind, I've had clients come to me and say, Lynn, I can finally sleep at night. Like I've had my business for years and years and years, but you're the only bookkeeper that all of a sudden I know what we're doing. I know what my margins are. I feel confident. You get back to me and I can sleep at night knowing that my business is doing well, because I didn't know what my business was doing before because I didn't have the feedback. So think about your pricing as a value. What are you giving to the client? I mean, the bookkeepers, you're saving the client time. You're creating clarity for them. You're helping them keep the business alive. You're part of their team. And that deserves the right price, right? So stop comparing yourself to CPAs. Compare yourself to the impact that you make, to the value that you give. You can charge confidently and just revisit your pricing regularly. I would every year increase your prices. You might not have to increase them across the board, but you could increase them for incoming clients that are maybe new clients that are coming in. And then you can look back and see, are there some clients that maybe have a little bit of scope creep? They're creeping up more hours. Their businesses may be growing. They've added some bank accounts and credit card accounts, or they've just added some complexity to their business that would merit raising their price. And you can bring those up to them. You've added this complexity. It's taking a little more time. Happy to do it, but we do need to charge for that. So your new rate is going to be this starting January 1. I like to give my clients about a 60-day notice at least, if not 90. I know now it's October. If you're thinking about raising your prices on January 1, you need to be telling them now what their prices will be. And maybe there's some things you can add. You can add some value somehow. Maybe you can add an annual meeting with you or a meeting with their tax person. So think about revisiting your prices regularly. And if you think you're underpricing, you probably are. If anyone's ever come to you and said you're underpricing, you probably are. My employees used to come to me. Oh my gosh, my employees came to me so many times. I can just see their little faces in my office right now. They would say, Lynn, I think you need to charge this client more. And they would be hesitant to come talk to me so many times. And I remember just looking at them in the office like, what? No, I don't have time to raise prices. No, let's just keep going. So I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening to my employees or my clients when they said raise prices. So the first time you hear it, that means you need to raise your price. So hopefully that will give you some insight as to your value. When someone says you need to raise their prices, they value you, right? So when you do raise your prices, okay, sure, you might lose some clients. I did not find that to be true. Rarely did I lose clients. And if I did, it was almost always the clients that I wanted to go away. It was the clients that were just wanted everything cheap or, complained about the bill, spent a lot of time complaining. And so that was good, right? I would get rid of the ones that were complaining a lot. And sometimes that is a pricing strategy, is that you just go ahead and raise prices on a client that you're just done with, but you don't want to fire them. So you just raise their prices till they leave. That's a strategy and it might work. But I found just raising my prices a little bit every year or every other year, just kind of depending on the flow of the economy, my clients did not leave and they would stay if you were giving them value. So, and I found too, this is crazy because I look back at it and I'm like, I should have done this earlier. So looking back is great, but every time I raised my prices, I actually gained better clients. I would gain higher quality clients. CPAs would send me clients, and often they were just like, you don't charge enough, or charge them $100 an hour. And this was, 10 years ago when that was a crazy amount. But they would say, well, I'm charging them $100 an hour to do their books, so I can pay you $50 and I'll just you do the work and then I'll just charge them myself. And I did that for a while and I thought, why am I doing that? I'm doing the work. I should get paid that amount. So when I did raise my prices, I gained better clients. I would have CPAs call me more often and they would be normally at a higher rate. And I don't remember losing any clients that I didn't want to lose, because I might have gone back to the drawing board and said, let's look at this, or let's talk. But I didn't lose any clients that I didn't want to lose. And I did lose the ones that were maybe a little bit difficult. But I don't know why, but I just didn't learn this lesson till about year 7 or 8. And that was when I was looking toward how am I going to make my exit? So I was kind of late to the game in raising my prices. Had I done that earlier, I would have been in a better position and I probably would have, made more money. So, all right, so let's wrap this up. Let's recap about the 4 regrets that I had running my business and maybe some of the lessons. So number 1, start sooner. Go back, whatever age you are, you can go back to your younger self and listen to the excuses you have and ask yourself, what are you waiting for? Regret number 2, build with an exit in mind. You're going to have a better business to run and a business that's a joy to run if you know where the business is going. Number 3, don't do it alone. Hire early. Hire before you burn out. Hire before you're drowning. Hire sooner rather than later. And then regret number 4 was not charging enough. If any of these regrets hit home from you right now, just pick one and make a move this month. Are you drowning? Then you need to hire somebody. It's okay to hire people. You're not going to freak out. Your company isn't going to drown. You're going to do better if you hire somebody to take that load off. It's going to start moving you in the right direction from being a business operator inside it, in the weeds, to a business leader. Just hiring one person is going to bring you up to be a leader. Even if you just hire one person that's part-time and they work for you like a year or 2, that's probably the best scenario. It gives you time to learn how to lead a team, right? Then when you hire someone else, you will get better and better and better at it. So if you're ready to stop running your business like an employee and start leading it like a CEO, one of the things you can do is join us inside the Bookkeepers Training Circle. It's where we turn the hindsight into strategy for you, and we build businesses with 0 regrets. You'll also surround yourself with like-minded folks who work together to build the best bookkeeping company that we can, and we get together and support each other in a mindful community. So I can't change my past decisions, and neither can you, but I can help you make better ones in the future. So let's make sure your future self sends you a thank you card.